one way that you can really irritate me is by calling me an influencer. I refuse to ever wear that title. I create content. I am an author. I do things over multiple different mediums, but I am not an influencer because my goal in life is to not make money from people. My goal is to make money from companies. Welcome to Married to the Startup. I'm Alicia McKenzie, a wellness entrepreneur and digital creator. Alongside me is my amazing husband, George, the CEO who's always ready for a new challenge. We've been navigating marriage and running startups for over a decade, and we're here to share the real, unfiltered journey with you. Join us for insights and candid conversations about integrating love, family, and entrepreneurship. This is Married to the Startup, where every day is a new adventure. All right, welcome back for episode 10 of Married to the Startup. I'm Alicia McKenzie.
And I'm George McKenzie. Is that better? High energy? Give me a 10.
Good job.
Yes.
Good job.
Love it.
All right, so we are going to do a little bit of an us update. And you know what's funny is that we had this episode recorded about a month ago.
But
we had some technical mic issues and George's audio sounded like absolute garbage. And our producer was like, I can't do anything with this. We're going to try harder.
I'm going to eat the microphone now. I'm going to be all up on it.
We're going to try harder this time. But a little bit of an update. We took the summer off unexpectedly.
Yeah, I think inadvertently.
Because
we had full intentions of continuing to record episodes. And I think we even tried one.
But then we got lazy.
Yeah.
And summer took over and there were a million other things we would have rather been doing than recording a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, hanging out in Spain and pals and being at the beach and being out on the boat all day, it's just hard to come back and say, you know what, let's squeeze 2 hours in and do a podcast.
Yeah, no, we didn't want to.
Yeah.
So we didn't.
Not top priority. Time management.
But we're back. And the last time we recorded this, we talked about how we spent 3 weeks in South Carolina and I did not have any of my support systems with me. So it was me, 2 dogs, 5 kids, a husband, a grandmother, and that's it. There was no nanny. There was no house cleaner. There was no office manager. There was none of this that I have grown so accustomed to having in our DC house.
We had an aunt come.
We did. We had an aunt come for a little bit. We had some high school help with Maya from a girl that we met down there, but it was definitely not comparable to what I'm used to here. And I got a little cranky.
Yeah, I agree. I would say you got a little cranky.
A little cranky.
For sure.
And, you know, I feel a little bit like a brat complaining about it because this is how some people live.
How most people live.
This is how most people live. And I'm like, God, this shit is hard.
It is.
And then we started talking about it. Like, decision fatigue is a real thing when it comes to mothers, because by default, you have these children coming to you and they're like, what's for breakfast? What should I wear? What are we doing today? Can we go here? Can we go to Ulta? I need to go to Sephora. I'm out of hair stuff. Mom, I need more Lululemon. Like, it was just constant. And by the end of 3 weeks, I was getting ready to pull my fucking hair out.
Yeah. I mean, decision fatigue is real and it happens for everyone at all levels. Like, one of the best advice I ever got in college, maybe the 5 things I remember from college. One was around politics and said, office politics are everywhere from corporate America to 7-Eleven. And I think decision fatigue is the same. It's all from, the Steve Jobs, president of the United States, on down to every working mother or every, stay-at-home mother. Those decision fatigue is a real human condition. It's not associated with a profession.
Absolutely. And I think they say that you make up to 300 decisions a day. And you have to think that on decision number 280, it's probably not the greatest decision, but you're just so exhausted that you're like, fine, do whatever.
Yeah. Your mental capacity for decision making and for analytical thought goes down throughout the day, right? So your first decisions or the primary decisions, let's say 1 through 20 are going to be, or 10 are your best decisions because you spent the most mental cycles going through it. And that 200th one is, I have no more mental cycles. Here's the answer. No. My
Absolutely.
default answer.
For sure. And this is how this is how I structure my day, right? I do all of my hard analytical thinking first thing in the morning because that is when I'm fresh. That's when I have the most energy. That's when I'm the most motivated to do the shit that I don't want to do. And then towards the end of the day, that's when the creative juices start flowing, right? You're tapping into that different side of your brain. It's just how I work.
And for me,
That's how
it's,
you work.
well, mostly. I
Well,
mean, I
no,
think
I mean, you do
the
your best writing first thing in the morning.
writing, yes, I think I'm more creative. I guess the writing I do is not super creative, so maybe not. But yeah, no, I agree. I think it's productivity, and everyone is a built-in procrastinator. I think all of us are procrastinators by nature. So time blocking, which I'm bad at, but it's, hey, writing down, here are the 3 things I'm getting done today. And then the hardest one is number 1. And the one that you don't want to do is number 1. And that's the one you focus on first. Get that one done because you'll always push that to the bottom. Like proposal writing, or I'm gonna calculate taxes and do stuff like that, or mundane minutia taskings that, no, I'm gonna go into QuickBooks, or I'm gonna go into my finance system and I'm gonna pay bills, or I'm gonna go through and do a gross margin analysis. Like
And
those
here
are not fun. So you're like, I'll do that at 3, and then at 2:50 you get engaged in something else, and it's 4 o'clock, I'll do that tomorrow.
But
And then
here's the worst. Here's the worst. I'm sitting in the kitchen, like drinking my coffee and just kind of relaxing. And George will go, "Hey, babe, you want to come to the office and work on QuickBooks?" I'm
yeah,
like, "No, I don't want to, but fine, let's let's do it."
get it out of the way.
So he usually catches me first thing in the morning because if it's like afternoon, I'm not touching it. Like,
Yeah.
just don't talk to me.
Yeah, and it's back to those decisions and the mental capacity for it. And I agree. I think the summer was tough. It was tough as a husband because I didn't get the full version of my wife that I normally get, so it was hard on me as well, but for different reasons. And the decision fatigue with the kids, I guess. I'm more the default no answer all the time, so they stop coming to me after a
Yeah.
certain part. It's interesting though, like what you just said. I think I saw a funny meme the other day that getting married is finding someone that you can spend the rest of your life every day saying, "Hey, have you thought about dinner?" Which is kind of how it goes, right? Every day, what's for dinner? Have you thought about what's for dinner? And every day, it's the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting. I just sent off a draft to Amazon Printing of a wellness journal that I personally want to use myself because I created it. And that is one of the sections. It's like, what's for dinner? But it's a journal that I designed based on how I live my life. So I have been on a hunt for like this magical journal. And I love writing things down, but I cannot find something that fits my needs. So I created it myself and I sent it off for a prototype and it's being printed right now. And I can't wait to get it because it is like the top 3 priorities. What are you eating for dinner? I have a section for creative juices because sometimes things just come to me and I want to write it down. So rather than having my house full of like half done journals because they don't quite fit my needs, I created one for myself and I cannot wait to get it in.
Nice. Is
Yeah.
there a section for like pickleball critique, like
N-
things I could have done better today at pickleball?
I mean, there's a section for things you could have done better, period.
Okay. Well, it should be a pickleball specific section.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's definitely
We
not.
got a lot of pickleball in this summer.
We did get a lot of pickleball in. But once we left the beach house, we went to Spain for 3 weeks with the kids. And I think that was better because there's just less of everything. There's less Wi-Fi, there's less places to shop, there's less choices to eat. Like you eat what's on the table or you don't eat.
Yeah, and the grocery store is much more the super meerkat,
The
as
super
Maddox would say.
meerkat, my
Super
boy.
meerkat. Limited choices. There's not, an aisle of, Florida ceiling cereal choices. There's like 20 cereal choices.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it was I enjoyed it.
It
It's a
was
great reset
Yeah,
for sure.
it was a really good reset because I think they had like maybe 5 outfits each, which cut down on laundry because if you've ever been to Spain, you know that the dryers aren't the greatest. So
Yeah, Europe in general. Like
Europe
the
in
combo
general.
washer dryer is a combo neither very good. Like you can
Yeah.
wash it, and then I think most people just hang stuff outside.
Yeah, so we ended up hanging a lot of our clothing, which is I mean, it's nice to kind of have to do things like that. The kids aren't used to it, right? They're
Yeah.
used
That's
to,
how I grew up. Clotheslines are a thing. My parents
yeah.
still have a clothesline outside.
Yeah. I think we always talk about manufacturing discomfort. Like there were certain things that were uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have video games. They didn't have iPads. They barely had internet to stream shows. It was more of you got to go, entertain yourself. You
But
got to
they did have a cat.
fucking Leechy. A neighborhood cat. Who would have thought that an Airbnb would come with a cat?
It came with a literal like living feline, and it had to be fed. Like we
But
ended
it
up
wasn't the owner's cat.
no.
It was the neighborhood cat.
It was the
and
neighborhood
everybody
cat.
apparently just feeds it.
But I actually ended up buying cat food. And if you know me, I don't like cats.
Me either.
But now I think I'm slowly being beaten into being a cat person because my children are like, "Can we get a cat? We'll have an outdoor cat." I'm like, "I don't like cats." But then I'm like, "Okay, well maybe I do
You
like
don't want an
cats."
outdoor cat.
I don't know. I'm getting there. It's like if they keep grinding me down and asking me enough,
You're not a cat lady.
I might eventually. I'm not a cat lady.
No.
For sure. For sure. So, yeah, we did have a little bit of an unplanned hiatus, but we're back. And
I'm back, baby.
oh my gosh,
That
you're
was so loud.
So loud.
I loved it. You gotta live it.
Be less.
It's the Summer of George.
Be less loud.
Seinfeld reference.
No,
Nope. Get it.
less loud. I don't.
I'm back, baby.
I don't get it. I don't get it. All right. But moving on, we're actually going to go into a little bit of the entrepreneurship side because when you're running a startup, forming the correct leadership team right out the gate is pretty important, but nobody does it.
Nobody does it right.
Nobody does it right. And after having done this a couple times, I feel like we've got a little bit of insight into ways not to do it, but also ways to do it. So first off, what do? You've got a new company. How are you going to form your leadership team, babe?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to boil it down to the basic principles of what does the business do and what functions the business performs that are integral to the business.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're doing a SaaS startup, then do you really need?
And SaaS stands for
software as a service,
yes.
Which is mostly engineering heavy and programming heavy, right? You don't necessarily need an enthusiastic HR person, right? That's not part of your core leadership team that you would need immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you don't even need a super high-end finance person immediately.
Yeah.
You can either get that from your equity folks and have them chip in, or you get a more mid-level person. But I think that the things that I've struggled with in companies that I've run is a lot of times you do it with your friends, or you do it with people you know, or you do it with colleagues,
mm-hmm.
and everyone brings something to the table. And because that's why they're all a part of the ownership team, or the leadership team. And when you're trying to divvy out roles, I think it's important to understand. And there was a good article, and I know some of the other podcasts talked about like founder mode versus manager mode, and
mm-hmm.
and you're in that founder mode, right? So everyone is good founders are doing multiple jobs, and they're in the weeds, and you got to be. I think there was a good quote there. You got to be dumb enough to think you can actually do it,
mm-hmm.
and not experienced enough to know how difficult it is.
Yeah.
So when you get that group of people together and you're all entrepreneurial, you're all founders, then there could be sticky situations when everyone tries to do everything.
Yeah.
So defining those roles and responsibilities, and then doing it in a way that plays to the strengths of the people.
Absolutely.
And as a CEO, that should be your role of understanding you're the ultimate player coach, right? You've got to do all the work as a player, but then you also have to be able to coach the other founders and other members of your leadership team, and understanding what they do best and putting them in the best position to succeed. So if you have someone who wants to be COO because it's a great title and maybe that's second in command, or you think it is,
mm-hmm.
and their skill set and what they're really good at is customer service, that's probably not a great fit for a COO. And I think that the challenges that a lot of people face is they do the titles based on what they want to be versus what they're good at.
Yeah.
And then you form a leadership team, maybe bloated at the top with, 5 people just like you, and you're all the same. And, it's really hard to then transform or have one person say, all right, now you have to be the sales guy, or now you have to be the product manager, or you have to be the internal rah guy, the vision guy,
or gal.
And I think that's where most people struggle is, you can't have your COO. I guess you could, but it's more difficult if the CEO most times is the one setting the strategic vision
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
actually having a strategy and a vision for what they want to bring to reality. What does this company do? What service does it provide? What is the product market fit? Like, where is the I guess vacancy in the market with which this company is servicing, right?
Yes.
And that should be the CEO. If
Yeah.
you're trying to get that from your sales guy, then it's probably dynamic, and that's an ego problem where maybe the founder is the tech genius that wrote the code and says I'm the CEO because it's my idea. But if you can't put that vision into reality or make it work, then maybe that's not the right role for you.
Yeah.
You can still own 50% of the company and not be CEO.
Yeah. You can be the CTO.
You could, right? And then the same if you get a COO and that person is not good at managing
Managing.
people and doesn't understand finance and is in a role because they think they should be in that role because at this point in their career that's their title,
Yeah.
then you're going to fall into problems. And I think oftentimes mistakes I've made in the past too is bringing in people and then giving them big titles.
Yeah.
And in reality, once you do that, it's the Peter principle. Once people have been promoted to their incompetent level, right? So you get someone who was a senior VP of sales and rocked it out,
Mm-hmm.
crushed it, and they were great at selling X, Y, or Z into market, X, Y, or Z. And they say, wow, they're really successful at that. They should be a CRO. So then you bring them in as CRO and they cannot translate that individual success into team success, which
Absolutely.
you know
But do you think that's a self-awareness issue, right? Because sales is really, really difficult. And if you're good at sales, like that's a skill. Why are you trying to be somebody's CRO?
because the title is great. And
I don't know. I
yeah,
mean, at the end of the day, you're probably going to make more money in sales than you would as a CRO.
yeah, it gets the satisfaction and what brings you joy. And I think some of it is, you get sold through, college or even, maybe to get esoteric. The three pillars or the, you get into this, you've been beaten into this way of thinking that, hey,
Yeah.
to be successful, I have to constantly move up the ladder.
Yeah.
To be successful and to be happy, I've got to make a lot more money. To be successful and to be happy, I got to have a bigger house. And I got to have a title that says XYZ. Like if I'm making the same money, but I'm a VP of sales and I could be CRO, I want to be CRO because that
Yeah.
title somehow will make me more happy.
But you need to be
More
self-aware
happy.
enough that if you suck as a CRO, maybe I should go back to sales, right? That's a self-awareness, that's an ego thing, but I think that's where we're trying to disrupt
Well, that's, I think,
what
where
we're
we're trying
teaching
to,
our children.
yeah. And what we're trying to give advice to people is that, don't get hung up on the title, right? It's really around, if you're a founder, especially, and you're building that team, it's about team success. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, you want to have a successful company,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for that to happen, everybody has to be in the boat with an oar in their hand, rowing in the same direction. And
Yeah.
if you had a VP of sales that wants to be CRO, but he has 6 salesmen under him and neither one of them are producing because he's incapable of managing, motivating, and driving them, then you'd be better off having that CRO just be the sales guy driving the sales,
Yeah.
right? The company would be better off. And if
Absolutely.
everybody's end goal is, hey, we want the company to be successful, then everyone should be willing to do what they're most capable of to drive that success for the company. And
And
that's hard. That's probably the hardest conversation you'll ever have as a founder with your executive team is, hey, the role that you want is not the right role for you.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm having that moment right now where all I can see is my mother and she's like, "You need to have a come to Jesus moment."
Yes.
Right? Like everybody needs that come to Jesus moment where you're like, this is not working. We need to go a different direction. But I think some people are incapable of doing that because I don't know if it's ego or if it's just the way you've been taught, but something's got to change and you kind of need to be the person to start it off.
Yeah, and I think there's a great book for founders I would read, Scaling Up, and it's more. It talks about more of scaling up a business and growing, and how do the successful ones make it. But
Mhm.
there's things for the founder too there that some of the checklists and templates that they provide you, like one of which I found incredibly important and
Mhm.
useful is like I said before, is defining what are the core functions of your business
Mm-hmm.
that will make it successful.
Yeah,
Like there shouldn't be 100 of those, but there's like 4, 5, 6 areas,
absolutely.
whatever, of functions that the business must do every day to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then defining what those are, and then saying, all right, who is accountable?
Yeah,
One belly button. If you have 2 people that are accountable for that function, it's never going to be successful.
belly button.
Yeah. So you gotta pick the one person, right? And that will make you sometimes have that hard discussion with folks of, hey, operations is managing HR. It's doing fine. It's doing, annual reviews. It's doing
Vacation requests
yeah,
and
it's
dealing.
doing all of that stuff and
Yeah,
understanding gross margins and driving gross margin, higher. And it's going to be all of that stuff. And most of the time, the COO is the bad guy, not the cheerleader,
yeah,
right? And if you define those tasks and the person that says, hey, I'm the COO, and you go, hey, that's a type mismatch, then it helps you to say, okay, who's better at doing that role? And then assigning it that way.
yeah,
And hopefully, that helps. But I found it incredible because it gets you to focus on, making the one thing the one thing. Like,
yeah,
what's the priority? What's the one thing we have to do today? What's the one thing we have to do this week? What's the one thing that each of us has to do to make this company successful? And if you drive it to a core function, then you wake up every morning going, that's what I'm doing.
yeah, absolutely. But I think you're kind of an anomaly in the sense that when you run a company, you're the CEO slash CFO. I've never seen somebody who was not certified to do so be so in the weeds of the finances, like knowing it down to the penny. And it's a bit of an art form, and it's not common. Like you're an uncommon
Yes.
person.
Incredibly uncommon.
I mean,
No,
yeah.
I, I think I have some of those skills.
But it's a control issue too.
But I think if like harkening back to the earlier like founder mode versus manager mode, and it's not groundbreaking. I think he's trying to coin some new terms, but I mean that's been talked about forever.
Yeah.
So I'll use those terms because why not? It's easy.
Yeah.
I think I am a great founder mode guy
Yes.
because I can get in the weeds. I enjoy being a part of everything. I enjoy understanding every aspect of the business, and then as part of my career when I was at Accenture and I was a managing director over like a $250 million portfolio, it was much more difficult to be in the weeds and know everything. You have a couple thousand people, you can't know everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to have those skip step meetings where you go, oh, I'm the managing director running all 2,000. I'm going to go have a meeting with the 2 levels below me folks so I can get unvarnished opinions.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Yeah.
And it takes a different manager. Like that's more a manager mode where you're surrounding yourselves with a few folks that you trust, and then they surround themselves, and it's all that hierarchical management structure that you're taught in MBA school. And
I mean,
that for me wasn't what I
we've been
did.
together, you have never enjoyed that role.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the thing. Like I thought that was my next career move. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I did a couple startups. I've been at a small business that was 50, 60 million in revenue. I want to be 300 million in revenue or $1 billion revenue company. I want to manage that. And then as I got into it, I realized, I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't fulfill me. I thought it would, that, hey, that's the next progression, right? Bigger, got
Yeah.
to get bigger, and that didn't really do it for me.
Yeah. It's all about learning and progressing.
That's what they say.
All right. So moving on, this is a topic that
it's my favorite one. I've been looking forward to this one.
No, it's surrounding the content creator and influencer market and how they make their money. So one way that you can really irritate me is by calling me an influencer, because I refuse to ever wear that title. I create content, I am an author, I do things over multiple different mediums, but I am not an influencer because my goal in life is to not make money from people. My goal is to make money from companies, right? So I look at your modern day influencers on TikTok and Instagram, and it is a constant shill of shit and products that you do not need. And it drives me up the wall, because not only are they selling you things that you don't need, but they are also contributing to fast fashion. They're also contributing to the destruction of some of the oceans. Like it makes me cringe. So this is a hot topic in the house because I constantly struggle with this mindset of influencers and content creators, and am I feeding into it? How can I disrupt it? How can I be different? How can I differentiate myself from these actual influencers? But what are your thoughts, babe?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just want to make sure we don't come off hypocritical. It's not like
I know.
we're, you know, trying to make money off of, content creating. It's not like our primary source of income.
No.
And you look at, for me, I've always been anti it. Like, it just drives me nuts because for me, the biggest thing I want to teach our kids is you got to be of service and you have to create value. If you're not creating value, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? You're stealing money. You're not doing anything. And it drives me nuts because my opinion alone, is that the vast majority of influencers do not provide any value at all. They're doing these fucking unboxing videos and they talk about, high to low fashion, or they do this or they do that. And it's all about how can I sell terrible shit to the lower income, middle income Americans or people in the world. And I get brands that, cater to that market giving me money or giving me a percentage of deals that I can, go through whatever coupon code to sell. And it makes us less happy as a human society. And it doesn't contribute anything to anybody. It's just, hey, go buy my next cheesy made in China plastic toy that I've created because I created this persona that now I want all of you to buy it because I want your kids to hound you all day to buy this toy because it is something I created because I'm a YouTuber that doesn't really produce value. It's not even, maybe it's entertaining for a little bit, but the entertainment is all aimed at selling you something.
Yeah.
And maybe all entertainment is that way because they all have advertisers, but at least right? You're getting advertised to. And I don't think people will play sports or people go into acting to go, you know what? I'm going to become a very good actor so I can be a television actor so that then I can sell you something.
Yeah.
Where influencers, in my opinion, that is all they do.
Yeah.
Is I need to get eyeballs. I need to get views so that I can get advertisers so that I can sell you shit.
Yeah.
It's all about, can I sell this? Can I sell my audience something that they probably don't need or don't want, and it doesn't add any value to their life? I just want to do it because I want to make money.
And maybe it's because we've seen influencers behind the curtain, right?
Oh God.
But it's
Let me do the twirl.
Oh my gosh, but it's not even that. It's that they are portraying a lifestyle that they don't actually live.
Yes.
Right?
That's the worst.
You look at a lot of the influencers in the area, and they're portraying this amazing Washington, D.C. lifestyle. I hang out with powerful people, but in reality, you're doing your 1 hour and 45-minute drive out to Aldi because that's where you can afford to live. And there's nothing wrong with that. But stop selling a narrative that you live this great, luxurious lifestyle and you don't, because it's not easy to obtain. Like, that's what really, really gets under my skin. And maybe it's because I have girls who are on social media.
And then they get that lifestyle because they get the lower income, middle income people to buy their shit to eventually give them the lifestyle that they're pretending to already have.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, the pendulum has definitely swung in the opposite direction where I'm becoming more aware, just more conscientious of what we're showing on social media, right? We live a lifestyle, and my goal is to optimize that lifestyle because I want to be healthy. I want our children to be healthy. Wellness has definitely been my niche. It always has been. Weightlifting, the supplements that I'm taking, the blood work that we're doing. Like, that's the kind of things that I want to share, but that's not where our money's coming from, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing that because that is just something that I want to contribute to society.
Yeah, it's a service and it's fun for us.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not let me take these supplements and then sell you the supplement that gives me the best percentage deal that I can peddle to everyone who looks at my feed.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's, hey, these are the ones that work for me.
Yeah.
And I'd like to share that with other people. And hey, I like traveling in luxury. And these are the places I went to. I had a great time. Here's what happened. Here's what I did. If you have a similar experiences or similar, lifestyle to mine, come check it out and go do this. And that's why we don't I write a lot of the blogs, and I don't travel blogs. I don't blog about how to rack up your points so that you can get a upgrade to first class. Like,
Yeah.
no,
It's not
no. If you want
realistic.
to go somewhere, yeah, I'll
And
write about how we do it.
yeah.
Not to sell you on an airline points credit card, but to, hey, fly first class, go to this place, it's awesome. Visit these 5 things, they're awesome. Have fun.
yeah, and I wish I'm going to start sharing the amount of companies that come to me with these supplements and with this cheap clothing and with these, hey, look at our new yoga pants. We'll send you a whole box full. Like I don't partake in any of that because I don't view myself as an influencer. I view myself as somebody that creates content among different mediums.
Yeah, and if you wouldn't wear those leggings, you will never
Like I will never
advise them.
promote a
Yeah,
product that I don't actually use. And I think that is where influencing just drives me insane because you're lying. You're lying for a paycheck. You're preying on people that really should not be buying these products.
because they want the lifestyle you pretend to have.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Right? It's just craziness.
it drives
Drives
me
me.
nuts. And then we were actually around an influencer recently and she was filming and she's like, "Oh, my skin looks so great. I don't even have to edit this video."
My skin looks great today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, girlfriend, why? Like, it's okay to have not the best skin, but stop lying to people. Like, that's what you're doing. Like, if you have blemishes,
I wonder if she promotes anything that's
I don't
skincare related. Wouldn't that be funny?
maybe, but like, it's not even funny. It's sad because our girls see this stuff, and I'm hoping that they take everything with a grain of salt.
They don't.
I know, but
That's the
I'm
worst
hoping
part.
that like the messaging that they see from us, they see from me, is that it's not real.
Yeah, or using your entire family to influence.
Oh gosh, don't get me started on that. Please don't.
Yeah.
Oh, so I
And
mean,
they may look like or act like they enjoy it, just like most child stars look like they or act like they enjoy it. But then when they're in their 20s, they start to realize that, oh my God, I was not a child. I was a set piece to help sell X, Y, or Z.
yes, these influencer families, that's another one that really, really gets under my skin because I have 5 children. You will be hard pressed to find their faces flush on my Instagram page or any of my social media because I have been very intentional about what I share of them because yes, they're my children, but they are not mine, right? They are their own people and
Yeah.
I don't ever want to do anything that could possibly embarrass them. And it may not
No.
seem like much now, but when they're 15, 16, 17, maybe even 25, they're like, "Why the fuck did you share all this stuff about me?" Right? Like
Yeah.
it's going to come back and it's something that just I don't know, just have intention. Like if
And
you
there's just a lot of creepy fucking people out
there
there.
really is. There really is. And I think that's what ultimately stopped me from sharing my boys because my son was shirtless in one of my stories because we were working out in the garage and somebody DM'd me and he's like, "Man, look at your son. He's got all those muscles." Like and we're like, "Dude, this kid is 5 years old.
Yeah.
It was a man."
Creepy people.
Like, just why? So once that happened, I'm like, okay, A, you're never going to see his face. And B, you're never going to see him shirtless because, like, just there's no need for it. And if I can give them that a little bit of anonymity, I'm going to do it. Social media, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not just Instagram, it's YouTube, it's TikTok, it's all that. Yeah. We're contributing to the downfall of society in live. It's happening all around us every day, and we just continue to drive it forward. Of hey, let's continue this ultimate consumerism of buy more shit with money you don't have, rack up debt because who cares,
Yeah,
and continue to buy stuff, and it doesn't affect me because I'm not the one buying it. I'm the one making the money off you buying it. So,
exactly.
I'll just keep doing it because for some reason that makes me a good person and of contributing something to society.
And fun fact, a lot of these hauls that you see on social media, they usually return all the shit.
Yeah.
So they
How
buy
terrible
it,
is that?
they do videos, they make their content, and then they take it all back because Nordstrom has one of the most lenient return policies I have ever seen. Like, I've seen people return used shoes. So,
Well, I mean, let's be fair. There's a lot of shoes today that you buy brand new and they look used as fuck.
Hey, don't go after my golden goose.
I'm just saying. I remember when used jeans and my mom would freak out at like, why are you buying used jeans? They look terrible. And now you're like, man, people are buying used shoes.
Yeah. But it's just, we are very intentional about the things we do and the things we share. And I just hope that anybody listening can take something from this.
Yeah, let's grassroots campaign to stop the unnecessary influencing and peddling of crap.
Just the grift. It's just not.
Yes, the grift. It's great word. Grift. I like it. The grift.
Thank you for tuning in to Married to the Startup. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please take a moment to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast. Your support helps us reach more people and keeps the conversation going. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, drop me a message. I love hearing from you guys. Until next time.
George, out.